Thanks. That's Ken Corda. Taoiseach, the Catholic bishops have this week finally agreed to hand over patronage of 8 schools so that they can become secular schools. This is after a decade of talk following the Forum on Patronage in 2012. 8 schools, Taoiseach. At this rate, it will literally take 3,000 years to finally have a secular primary school system in this country. Even more alarming than that, Taoiseach, is the reports today that the Church may be doing exactly what Deputy Boyd Barrett was explaining in relation to the National Maternity Hospital in relation to these schools, i.e. hanging on to the actual ownership of these schools and expecting the state to pay them to rent every year for the use of these schools. Can you clarify, Taoiseach, if these schools are being fully transferred into public ownership, or will they be leased from them? And when will the full details of the deal be published? We obviously stand for a fully secular, fully public education and healthcare, taking them fully out of the control of the Church and into the hands of the state, democratically controlled by staff, parents and communities that they serve.
In terms of the schools, again, we have about 159 now. There's 159 primary schools with a multi-denominational ethos. That's about 9 above the 2009 figure of 150. At post-primary level, multi-denominational schools have increased by circa 11%, from 321 in 2009 to 359 in 2020. And I reckon that's 359 out of about, if I'm not mistaken, 800, 850 maybe. I can check that. So at post-primary level, it's moved much more quickly. And I do accept elements of what Deputy Tobin said, that in 1998, the idea was a pluralist base of education, that parents would have a right to choose a particular form of education, and there was different patrons. It could be Gael Scullina, Educate Together. And by the way, I was a Minister for Education that facilitated the growth of Educate Together by reducing the contribution that patrons had to make to sites acquisition, which was very prohibitive at the time and was the biggest barrier to building new schools. Religious ethos schools from Church of Ireland, Catholic schools and so on. And various trusts have been set up as the orders have declined in numbers. And so what has evolved over time has been a pluralist system in terms of provision. That has been made possible by state investment, and it is a more expensive model than simply saying we just do one type and let's have a uniform type across the board. I favour a primary level greater involvement of the ETBs in any new schools, because I think ETBs have capacity and resources in terms of providing for schools. And when I was last in government in a previous one, we were the first to develop state-owned VEC primary schools in the Dublin area, where there was fast-growing populations and there was a need for such schools. But again, multi-denominational and Educate Together have grown their capacity, and their administrative capacity they've grown to be able to accommodate the expansion of multi-denominational and non-denominational education. But equally, those with religious ethos, if the parents want to send to a particular school, are entitled to do that as well. And what happens is plebiscites are held. Plebiscites are held in given locations. There's a transparent voting situation, election, where parents vote in respect of school choice, and that has happened. Now, I think on the transferred buildings, I'll follow that up, because my own view is the state has invested a lot in these school buildings. In many respects, we've built new schools on existing sites. That has to be reflected. And ideally, the mission of the churches in the past was to commit to education. That ethos should continue, in my view, as a contribution to the state. Sorry. In respect of in terms of Minister O'Gorman has written to the religious orders. No, I don't think he's got a substantive reply yet in terms of contributing to the payment scheme. And I hear what you're saying in respect of the redress scheme. So that has to be legislated for it and has to go through the House.